Hello everybody, Magus here, welcoming you to, we're going to go over some of the power-ups that are between Levelhead and Mario Maker 2. Kind of give you an idea of how they compare, how they contrast, and give just more of that, like, should you pick up Levelhead, or should you stick with the game like Mario Maker 2 if you have a Switch. So first of all, the first power-up that we have is the Ripcord and the propeller hat from Mario Maker. So the Ripcord is obviously from Levelhead, and they both kind of function in a similar manner. So the Ripcord allows you to jump and then use like a rocket boost in the air. It's limited, and if you hit an enemy or anything like that, it resets. So it's kind of similar in the fact that like you get that like initial boost, and then on your way down, you can hold the action button and you'll pop out a little propeller and you'll slowly like come down. So it's kind of a like very similar to like how Mario Maker 2, the power up from, which one is that? I believe that's Mario 3D World. I believe that's the, or Land, whichever one it is. Has the propeller hat that you can pick up. You can basically do the initial boost and then the slow fall down. So in a sense, these two are very similar. In that instance, you have a very similar style. Alright, so second up we have the Face Blaster. This is kind of an interesting, this is a very interesting item. So basically you launch off your face and you end up getting like it is a projectile attack. The thing is you can also, like in limited spaces, bounce off of the head using it as like kind of a mini projectile with like some actual like physics behind it. Now it's kind of most similar in Mario Maker to the Fire Flower. So with this you can launch off your face. The one big difference is the movement that you get. Like it actually propels you backwards when you use it. So this does allow you to do some interesting little jumps. It also like lets you kind of play around with it more because the actual face has like physics to it. So it is an actual item, whereas with like the Fire Flower, it bounces off the ground. It doesn't actually do anything other than hit enemies. Like you don't actually have an interaction with it other than if it's like an environmental or enemy. So they're very similar. There is a little bit more of opportunity to do stuff with the Face Blaster though from Levelhead. So I think like some of the ways that you could actually incorporate this into like levels would be pretty cool because you do get that momentum built up. All right, the next one we have, I don't really know if there's one that's similar between Mario Maker and this. This is kind of where they have a little bit of a divergence. So this one is the zipper from Levelhead. First off, we'll talk about that one. It basically teleports you a slight distance, and you will teleport through almost everything in the game, as long as it's not like 4 tiles thick. So it's actually kind of an interesting game-breaking mechanic because you could bypass portions of the level if you put this in that maybe you weren't expecting with Mario Maker 2. While you can glitch a lot of stuff, there isn't a power-up that per se lets you do it, like to actually remove you from the game and put you in a different place. That's what the zipper does. It's a teleport. And it seems kind of interesting in the sense like it just is a different than like Mario Maker. You actually have some interesting like things you can do with it. So I would say there's really no item similar to it in Mario Maker. So I'm just going to throw out the actual boomerang. I mean, it's kind of not really. It's like the boomerang is a projectile. You throw it. The difference is that like with the boomerang, that they kind of have the similarity is the fact that when you throw the boomerang, it comes back to you. You can avoid the boomerang and it'll keep going. So in that sense, it allows you to play with the idea of a teleporting projectile because the projectile will always follow you without your input. So in a way, these are kind of similar in that sense. Like, you have this weird functionality that maybe it wasn't supposed to have in that sense. It is definitely, they're both kind of interesting. They do different things to a degree, but they're kind of similar. They're interesting. So the next one is the tiptoe. This is a really, like, just weird one. The first thing it does is you basically put on like a pile of leaves, and enemies will ignore you and they'll walk through you without taking damage. It's interesting because this is most similar to what would be like the Tanuki suit, I believe, in the old Mario 3, maybe, I think is which one it was, where you would turn into a statue and you could stand kind of towards the background. So it's similar to that, but it's also similar to the new one in Super Mario Maker, the Goomba head that was recently added in that allows you to basically avoid enemies, but if you do bump into them, you take damage with the Goomba hat. So it's not exactly the same. They kind of are a little bit in that sense. But the other thing is this one, like the tiptoe is a very catch-all like item. So the other thing it allows you to do is you can slide like down some walls, you can jump off of walls, you can kind of climb them by jumping. And I haven't played with it too much in the sense that like you can like do kind of stuff with ceilings as well, which I think is really interesting. It opens up a lot more possibilities of like stealth missions. I always felt like with so the thing is like with it, when you're in the bush, yes, enemies will avoid you, but you can also not be in it and enemies will go after you. Whereas in Super Mario Maker 2 with like the Goomba head, once you're wearing it, there's no way to get it off of you, and enemies still don't even seem to like notice. Like even Bowser doesn't actually like react to the Goomba head, which is kind of weird. It's a very odd system. So it's kind of a cool, different, unique take. It's kind of a combining of like a bunch of different items, power-ups from Mario. So the next power-up difference is the waylay. I would not even like know how to describe this comparatively. So you basically become this like kind of looking of like a volcano. And the thing is you get this ability to shoulder block. And you can dash diagonally, you can dash in the air, you can dash forward. So it's interesting in the sense that like it can actually destroy stuff too. I don't know exactly, like, I don't think there's anything in the game of Mario Maker 2 that would be similar to this. I'm gonna throw out like stuff like the Tanuki tail might be similar. You might say maybe the cape from Mario World. You might say, I'm thinking maybe like the Banzai Bill head would be kind of similar, except you don't get like the continuous movement with the waylay. It's more of a quick dash that does damage and can break some stuff. It is cool. I like the sense that you can actually use it like that. It like a lot of the power-ups in Levelhead are a combination of multiple other power-ups from other games, which is not a bad thing because it does allow like dynamics to it. The one thing that I will say this about Mario Maker 2 is the power-up that you get is very kind of situational in the sense of like you use it for its intended purpose and you don't really have to, like, there's not a lot of different intended purposes for the item that you pick up, like the pickups. Whereas it seems like with this, like, more of a tree of like, hey, it takes a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this. Definitely seems to add a little bit more to the game. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about that's kind of similar is the armor plate. This is different in the sense that it's very similar to the Super Mushroom from Mario Maker. They both have the basic same functionality. You pick it up, and it gives you an extra hit. The biggest thing about this is that in Levelhead, the armor plate actually doesn't like change your size. So as in Mario Maker, actually having Big Mario is a lot different, sometimes a little bit better or worse depending on the situation. You can see this in a lot of levels where you have to go through a very tight corridor. It's easier as small Mario versus like a bigger Mario. But in Levelhead, it's just a pink little like shield heart thing that floats around you. It's not really that different. So they're kind of similar. They're very similar. Okay, so the next one, I'm just going to combine these two. You have the Electro Shield and you have D-Bot from Levelhead. And both of these are kind of similar in the sense that they are shields. They function the same as the star almost from Super Mario. The difference is with the Electro Shield that I do actually find hilarious is when you hit someone, it is very similar to the Super Smash Bros. Knocking them off the stage with the very high speed knock away. It hits them into the wall and they do the explosion. Cool. A very basic power up. It doesn't really add a lot to the game. It's just neat. It's cool. It's a shield. It's like the star. You basically have it for a few seconds and you run as fast as you can. This one is kind of like not a power up, but also a power up. And I don't know if there's actually a lot of these you're going to see there's not a lot of combination anymore between Mario and this anymore. So this one is called like the Slurp Juice. And it's weird because it's actually like a speedrunner's nightmare. The idea is you pick it up in Levelhead and it slows down the gameplay by 50%, which should make a lot of dodging easier, a lot of any of that kind of stuff easier. The problem is it does not actually slow down the timer. So if you're trying to speedrun something, well, you just basically wasted your time because this is a horrible power-up to pick up. I don't think there's really anything in Mario Maker that allows for this. But it is an interesting power-up. It's just interesting. So now that we've gone through all the different power-ups that are like mostly in Levelhead, there are some like items you can get into, but we're not going to actually like talk about those. Like one similar to Mario, as in like Yoshi, the boot, and that kind of stuff. There's like other ones. The one thing is now is like Mario Maker tends to have more power-ups because honestly it's across 3 different genre like themes of games, for not including the new Mario 2 version. And there are a lot more power-ups, which is kind of nice if you're trying to think of like all these kind of different neat ideas. A lot of them do function very similar in Mario Maker, so it kind of limits the number down. Like the raccoon tail is available in the original theme, but like the cape is available in the world theme. But then you have like crazy ones like the cat. So there's a lot more in Mario Maker when it comes to power-ups. But I do think, and assuming this isn't our portion, Levelhead, they are talking about adding in some DLC, having some more with it. So this could dramatically change. You could honestly get more power-ups in this game, depending. So it's kind of too hard early on to tell. I do think like this is a pretty good comparison of the power-ups between the two, and should give you like more of an idea if like Levelhead even looks like a game based on the power-ups that you would want to pick up. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this quick little rundown review of the power-ups and the kind of giving you a little bit of the differences between the two. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like, please leave a comment, please leave a subscribe. Until next time, catch you later.